receiving an enticing takeover offer from Paramount Global. Bloomberg reports that Paramount raised its all-cash bid and added financial incentives, including covering a $2.8 billion breakup fee tied to Warner's existing deal with Netflix. Warner had agreed in December to sell to Netflix, but the revised offer could spark a bidding war as both companies signal they're willing to pay more.
Good Day Chicago at 5 starts now.
Now on Good Day Chicago, the search continues for two suspects in a deadly carjacking as the community remembers one of the victims.
New details in the search for Nancy Guthrie. What investigators are saying about a glove found near her home.
And Mike says we could be hitting some record highs a little bit later on today. It is 5 a.m. on this Monday morning. Thanks for joining us on Good Day Chicago. I'm Brian Jackson.
And I'm Gabriela Primus. Yes, thanks for joining us on the first day of the week. President's Day, hopefully most people are at home just resting, just relaxing with a cup of coffee. Mike Kaplan, what do we have in store for weather?
I think a record breaker is on the way. The record is really easy to hit, what I call low-hanging fruit, 58 degrees. I think that thing is gone by noon. There is some patchy fog out there this morning, 45 degrees at 9, a record high tide at noon. Then we're going to zip past that thing. I think we'll hit 64 at 4 o'clock, feeling more like mid-April than mid-February. Temperatures will be in the low 60s. Won't be as perfectly sunny as yesterday, but still enough sun to really drive those temperatures up. We've got 32 now at Joliet and Chicago Heights, 35 at Waukegan, at the big airports, O'Hare and Midway 38s, 37 at Gary, 34 at Valparaiso. Headed for the low to mid-60s today, and several more days of unseasonable warmth to enjoy as well. Are you going to enjoy that hopefully light traffic situation with a lot of schools out? Gabby, how are we doing?
You know, I would like to think so, Mike. And our drive times are looking okay. If you're going into the city, you could take a look as I talk about a couple stalls, which I don't typically like to talk about since they're just stalls, but both of them are blocking some exit ramps. One is on the northbound side of the Tri-State. It's the off-ramp to the Lake Forest Oasis, and the other one is on the inbound side of the Eisenhower. It's on the exit ramp to Western. Now, that exit ramp is just partially blocked, but still just good to know in case that's part of your commute. Union Pacific Northwest, there is a delay right now due to some mechanical problems, so make sure you're checking your Metro app. All right, switching gears here, Chicago police are still searching for the two men responsible for two deadly carjackings last week.
One of the victims was remembered over the weekend as a remarkable young man. Roseanne has more details this morning. Roseanne?
Right. And we will start with that vigil for one of the victims, a young man who was gunned down on Waveland near Halstead in the Lakeview neighborhood. With pictures and posters and flowers, friends and loved ones gathered to remember 22-year-old Darwin Tirado. He was killed in a carjacking in the early morning hours of February 11th as he sat in his car in the 700 block of West Waveland. Two men approached, police say, with firearms and demanded the car and other belongings before opening fire. Another 38-year-old man was not hurt. Tirado worked for Chicago chef Art Smith, who employed Tirado and his mother. He spoke about the loss at the vigil.
Our city is an amazing city, but the reality is we do have crime, and it's something that we have to address. And this was so incredibly stupid. It was, you know, the child was doing nothing, and he, you know, he's a hardworking kid. He was going to college, and the guy just wanted his car, and it's just terrible that people don't have any regard for life.
And then just an hour later on that Wednesday last week, police say they believe the same men used Tirado's car to participate in another deadly carjacking in the Bronzeville neighborhood. At Chicago Police Headquarters, Roseanne Tejas, Fox Chicago.
You know, Roseanne, I think you just touched on it there, but do you have any more information about the Bronzeville carjacking?
Yes, you know, we don't really have any more details, but Chef Smith said that it happened near where he lives in Hyde Park. And again, just was so sad that something like this would happen. Not once, but twice in a single night in a city that otherwise he said, you know, is amazing and he loves.
All right, thank you, Roseanne. Time is now 5:04 this morning.
A man is facing charges in connection to a November shooting at a jewel store in Bronzeville. 19-year-old Elijah Theodore is charged with attempted murder. He was arrested in Phoenix last Friday. He's accused of shooting a security officer at the store on East 34th. Police say Theodore was part of two people who tried to steal from the store and were confronted. The security guard and two other people were hit by gunfire.
The teenager who fought for her father's release from ICE detention has now died. 16-year-old Ophelia Torres passed away on Friday from an aggressive form of cancer. She took to social media to bring awareness to the suffering of families affected by Operation Midway Blitz. Her father, Ruben Torres Maldonado, was picked up last October at a Home Depot. Ophelia appealed to authorities to release her father, who was the breadwinner and caretaker of their family. His absence meant that her care would be jeopardized. A judge agreed, and he was later reunited with his family. She was a junior at Lakeview High School and is now an inspiration to those who hear her story.
She somehow found the strength to be able to speak for her dad, who couldn't speak for himself. So I really admire her tenacity, her courage, her selflessness, her ability to put her own physical pain to the side to speak up for her dad.
3 days before Ophelia's death, she witnessed a hearing where her father won a protection from the threat of deportation, making it possible to pursue permanent residence.
All right, back to a national story that we've been following here for weeks. Savannah Guthrie shares a new message for hope as a piece of evidence found near the scene of Nancy Guthrie's home could provide some answers.
Our Caroline Elliott joins us once again live from Tucson this morning. So, Caroline, what can you tell us about this latest evidence that was found near her home?
Yeah, Brian, Gabriella, good morning. It's good to be with you. Investigators have found 16 gloves in total during this search, but right now they're focusing on one glove in particular. It was a glove that was found about 2 miles away from Nancy Guthrie's home, and investigators have said it appears to look like the glove the suspect was wearing in that surveillance video pushed out by the FBI last week. So again, where we go from here as investigators are going through that DNA analysis process. The sheriff here tells us that they should have results relatively soon, and the FBI says some of those preliminary results have already started to come in. And again, this could be, we should say, a big break. In this case, they're going through to see if there's any kind of DNA match in this case. But again, the family says at this point, on day 16 of this search, they could really use a breakthrough in this case.
No kidding. I hope we have some answers soon. You know, Caroline, I know Savannah just posted another message on social media. For people who weren't able to catch it just yet, what did she have to say?
Yeah, Gabriella, we know that Savannah Guthrie posted on Instagram yesterday a new message where she was appeared to be talking directly to who she believes took her mom. She was basically saying that it's not too late to do the right thing, and the most important thing, really putting a human face on this story. Again, reminding all of us this is an 84-year-old woman who is her mom, a grandmother who also needs daily medication and is on a pacemaker. So again, really humanizing the story a little bit as we're now day 16 into this search, and as far as we know, the family still has not seen proof of life.
All right, Caroline Elliott, live in Tucson for us. Thank you very much.
The Department of Homeland Security remained shut down this morning. Lawmakers could not get a funding deal done by the holiday weekend, with Republicans largely rejecting Democrats' demands to reforms on ICE. The partial shutdown is expected to impact TSA, the Coast Guard, and FEMA, but not ICE or Customs and Border Patrol, which received billions in funding last year.
Our expectation that we will respond to the unserious offer that Republicans have made that clearly omits things that need to happen, including but not limited to our demand that the Fourth Amendment be respected.
We're talking, but, you know, we have to protect law enforcement. ICE has done a phenomenal job. Border Patrol, we have a closed border for the first time in history. We have to protect law enforcement.
This partial shutdown may continue through the State of the Union address on February 24th.
The city of Aurora marks 7 years since the tragic mass shooting at the Henry Pratt Company. A wreath-laying ceremony was held at Aurora City Hall yesterday to honor the victims. 5 people were killed when a disgruntled worker started shooting. The same shooter also wounded 5 police officers who are now hailed as heroes for ending his life before he could take anyone else's. The widow of one of the victims says she is thankful for the community's support.
This day carries a lot of heaviness that hasn't gotten easier to hold over the years. But I know that we're not doing it alone, and I'm reminded of that every single year when I come here to remind.
Illinois Congressman Bill Foster has introduced a resolution in the House of Representatives to honor the victims of the Henry Pratt shooting.
Some Rogers Park tenants continue to fight back against their landlord, and now there are claims of retaliation. The tenants have been protesting their landlord raising the rents by up to $800 per month. Some of those who've lived in that building for decades have now formed a Rogers Park Tenants Union. About 60 of them are now on a rent strike with support from the All Chicago Tenant Alliance. They say that the landlord has now filed lawsuits against the striking tenants, threatening to evict them.
We are working class people. We are people that have lived in our neighborhood for 15, 20, and 30 years. Now our neighborhoods have been bought by a group of investors that are trying to evict us, and we simply do not agree. These are our neighborhoods, and no, we're not going to leave. We want fair contracts, and we want repairs done in our apartments, and that includes new appliances.
The building houses mostly Hispanic and Latino families. Residents say that being evicted at this time during ICE activity is dangerous.
5:11 now, and I caught a little bit of this yesterday.
Yeah.
The NBA took break for All-Star Weekend, and there was a different format this year.
They've been changing up that format a lot lately, Mike. I feel like it actually worked this weekend.
You liked it a little bit better? Yeah, the games here lately when it's, 186 to 130, that's not been that great. All right, well, look, they still had the usual three-point and dunk contest, but the main attraction was definitely different. The revamped event had the U.S. against the world with 3 teams in a round-robin tournament. Team Stars, made up of the league's younger players. Team Stripes, these were the veterans. And there was a Team World. Well, the championship game featured the Stripes and the Stars. It was a 12-minute affair. Stars came out on top, and the All-Star MVP trophy went to T-Wolves guard Anthony Edwards. College hoops, the Illini looking to bounce back after a couple of tough losses last week, hosting Indiana yesterday at Assembly Hall. Big game for freshman David Merkovich. He finished with 25. The other freshman star, Keaton Wagler, he added 18. And the Illini coast to a big win, 71-51. Now to the racetrack. Tyler Reddick, who, his team owner. Yeah, that guy right there. Tyler Reddick is the winner of the Daytona 500 as the NASCAR season gets off to a crashing start. Final lap, it's another one of what they call the big ones there at Daytona International. Reddick avoided that wreck and surged from third to first coming out of turn 4. He passes Chase Elliott to take the checkered flag. This is Reddick's first career Daytona 500 victory and a historic win for team owner Michael Jordan, his first Daytona 500 trophy.
I can't even believe it. I mean, it was so gratifying. I mean, we had 4 guys that were really fighting, that was helping each other out. I mean, you never know how these races are going to end, right? It's like you just try to survive. And, I mean, we just hung in there all day. I mean, we great strategy by the team, and we gave ourselves a chance at the end. And, look, I'm ecstatic. I mean, I don't even know what to say. It feels like I won a championship, but until I get my ring, I won't even know.
It's nice to see Michael Jordan winning. What's going on there? This is a first. Yesterday's Georgia-Oklahoma basketball game delayed 5 minutes into the game after a popcorn machine burst into flames. Security was able to clear the sections near the fire. Nobody got hurt, put out quickly by sprinklers. The fire was contained to that concession area. The game only delayed for a few minutes, and subsequently there was a deal on bags of popcorn for everybody. A little overcooked, but all right, glad nobody got hurt there. We have clear to partly cloudy skies, with some fog out there. Not too bad in the city, but depending on where you are, especially south of I-80, you may encounter some very thick fog, just like you did yesterday. This is what I expect for highs today. The record is 58. That thing is done. I think we'll hit 64 today. No lakeside cooling. Very little temperature variety, really, north to south, east to west. This is going to be the warmest day of the year. Yesterday was the warmest day of the year, tied with a 60. We had a couple of 60s in January. Today we're we're going to zip past that. But you know what? This may not be the warmest day of this week. Here you see just a little bit of this high, thin cloud cover coming in. The high clouds will actually be helpful in helping disperse some of the fog later on. But then those high clouds, I think, are going to break up, and during the afternoon hours, we should see a pretty decent amount of sunshine around here, and that's when temperatures are going to go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Tonight, skies will be clear to partly cloudy. Temperatures will drop into the 30s, and there will likely be some patchy fog once again. Tomorrow, during the day, I think it's dry. Temperatures not as warm as today, but still warmer than normal. It'll be a little bit cooler far north and near the lakefront. But tomorrow evening, that's when I think we have a better chance of seeing some scattered rain showers. This may continue into early Wednesday morning. You see that 3, 4 a.m. stuff zipping by. But then the rest of Wednesday, even warmer, I think, than what we'll have today. I'll show you that 7-day forecast here in a couple minutes.
Thank you, Mike.
Well, coming up, what U.S. leaders are saying after European countries determined Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny was poisoned to death.
Now, Good Day Chicago, the teenager who fought for her father's release from ICE detention has died. 16-year-old Ophelia Torres passed away Friday from an aggressive form of cancer. She'll be remembered for taking to social media to bring awareness to the suffering of families affected by Operation No Labelings.
There are new details in the search for Nancy Guthrie. The FBI says a glove with DNA has been found near her home. They're saying it appears to match the glove that was worn by the suspect seen in her home's doorbell camera. Right now, the FBI is waiting for final test results from that glove.
A man is facing charges in connection to a November shooting at a jewelry store in Bronzeville. 19-year-old Elijah Theodore is charged with attempted murder. He's accused of shooting a security officer at the store on East 34th. 2 others were hurt by gunfire.
President Trump's border czar Tom Homan says a small security force will remain in Minnesota after the drawdown of immigration enforcement. More than 1,000 agents have already left Minnesota, with hundreds more departing in the coming days. Homan says agents will also keep investigating fraud allegations and the protest that disrupted a church service.
Attorney General Pam Bondi claims all of the Epstein files are now released. This comes nearly 2 months after the legal deadline laid out in the Epstein Files Transparency Act. The files, which Bondi claims are newly released, include several pages of names she says appeared in Epstein records, along with a section of photos, though questions remain about whether the material is actually new.
New details on the controversial 2024 death of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny. He died in a Russian prison, but new reports now say that he was poisoned. Russian leaders initially claimed that he got sick and lost consciousness while on a walk. Now, a new statement by European NATO countries concludes that it was a type of frog poison that the Russian government used to murder Navalny.
Wanted to silence him because he was a critic of their regime, and that's why we have exposed this barbaric Kremlin plot to do so, and made sure that we have done so with evidence as well.
We obviously are aware of the report. It's a troubling report. We're aware of that case of Mr. Navalny, and certainly it's we don't have any reason to question it, or we're not disputing or getting into a fight with these countries over it, but it was their report, and they put that out there.
The Kremlin is rejecting the EU accusations as propaganda.
5:20. I was telling you guys how I was able to go to a wedding in Florida this weekend.
Nice.
And on the flight back yesterday, you know how they make the announcements, oh, Chicago, 5-mile-per-hour winds, blah, blah, blah. And they said, and 60 degrees. Everyone started almost cheering because they were so happy about
the good weather back with you.
I did, I think. Huh, Mike?
Remarkable. Yesterday tied for the warmest day of the year. Today we're going to beat that. I think we get a record high of 64 in here, but it's kind of chilly out there now. You still want a coat this morning. We've got 39 at O'Hare. Aurora's Airport, the usual cold spot, 27 degrees there. It's 32 at Chicago Heights. Woodstock, partly cloudy, 34. The only negative factor this morning, similar to yesterday morning, we do have some fog, and almost all of that is south of I-80. And indeed now a greater dense fog advisory has been issued. I was kind of expecting this to happen from the National Weather Service, and you can see it covers quite a bit more of Chicagoland. All of these counties in gray here. This will be a dense fog advisory. It includes the Joliet area, the Aurora area. It looks like even DuPage County. So visibility is going to be kind of poor here for the next few hours. And you can see how these numbers have dropped to less than a mile at Aurora's Airport, Joliet, down to a quarter mile or less. So beware driving around here, especially when it's dark. It's going to be a little bit murky out there. So we have morning fog. Then we'll break that up and get to partly sunny. Temperatures fly into the 60s here. We'll have southwest winds at 12 to 22. Tonight, down to 38. Once again, fog could be an issue in a patchy form. South winds at 5 to 10. 7-day forecast after this beautiful President's Day. We have a 56 tomorrow. A little bit cooler lakeside and north. And there'll be a few showers coming in at night, ending Wednesday wee hours of the morning. Wednesday afternoon, mid-60s easily. Not a record that day, but mid-60s on the way. Could be some showers around on Thursday, but we'll still be in the mid-50s. And then temperatures tail off. The weekend looks kind of seasonably chilly here with highs both days in the mid to upper 30s. Gabriella, what kind of, is the fog causing any problems out there yet on the roads?
Mike, that's funny because I heard you talk about that, and I looked at some of our travel cameras, and it doesn't seem to be, but still take some extra precautions. Listen up to Mike about where some of this fog might be in your area. We're not having any troubles on our roadways when it comes to incidents. Those stalls have cleared, but I do have one of the earliest trains here on Union Pacific Northwest. It is not operating. It's due to mechanical problems that are going on, but there's another train that's going to accommodate passengers. Again, just make sure you're looking at your Metro app for Union Pacific Northwest. Your drive times, you see them here, under 25 minutes on the Kennedy, Eisenhower, and Stevenson, under 20 minutes on the Dan Ryan. Brian.
Coming up, a local church lost to a fire on Thanksgiving opens up a new temporary location. That's next on Good Day Chicago.
2022.
Welcome back. A congregation that lost their church to a fire has a new temporary location. They opened their doors for a celebration yesterday. A fire on Thanksgiving destroyed the Renewal Life Church on 58th and Emerald in Englewood. The temporary building is on 74th and Stony Island in South Shore.
We wanted to share with the world that recovery is possible in the midst of times where many people felt like, what do we do next? A lot of our church members were like, all right, so do we need to find a new church? And some people were discouraged. We didn't even know we were reaching people in Michigan. And so people started sending things in the mail and donating and helping us around the country.
The pastor said the fire also destroyed the offices of several small businesses in his campaign office as he's running for Congress as well. There is a link on the church website for some donations.
The NBA All-Star Game was last night, and a surprise guest had a viral moment. Take a look.
Intensity early. Jokic got the deflection out of bounds.
Look at Barack, Mr. President Barack Obama. He's even cool when the ball's coming at him. No problem.
Then, of course, former President Barack Obama sat courtside along former First Lady Michelle Obama, and that wasn't what went viral. A loose ball actually headed straight towards them, and Barack Obama caught it with a smile, then handed the ball back to Phoenix Suns guard Devin Booker, creating an unforgettable moment. Even the nice little dap up there.
I saw that live. That was cool.
The president also said like one of his favorite moments was beating the Indiana Pacers. Of course, he's a Bulls fan. Right.
There you go. That's great. He could probably come out there and maybe, play
Used
a
to
couple
play,
minutes there.
Used to play.
Pretty good.
All right, we have some fog issues out there this morning on a day that otherwise the main headline would be the record-breaking warmth that is on the way. Yesterday was so nice, lots of sunshine, but of course some of us started with fog yesterday. It's a little bit more widespread this morning, and the National Weather Service, as I was suggesting earlier this morning, and they did it. They expanded that dense fog advisory, covers all of northwest Indiana now, does touch southern Cook County, Will, DuPage, Kane, and Point South, so it's kind of easier to identify counties not in that. Lake, McHenry, northern and central Cook County. Currently, the dense fog advisory does not include the city of Chicago, but watch out. Visibilities have really dropped here. This is the time of morning when usually the visibilities start to go lower and lower. Valparaiso, a quarter-mile visibility. Same at Joliet, Morris, and even at Aurora's Airport, we've dropped there to less than a quarter-mile visibility. So things may get a little poorer for a couple of hours before the big warm-up. The record high is 58. It will be erased later today with a 64 on the way. Morning fog, especially south. Southwest winds 12 to 22. And then look at the 7-day forecast. We're not done with the unseasonable warmth. In fact, I think Wednesday will be even warmer than today. We have to negotiate a couple of showers tomorrow night and Wednesday morning. Then it clears out Wednesday afternoon. Another chance for some showers here Thursday late in the day and at night. I think Friday is dry with a 45 and then turning chillier, but seasonably so Saturday and Sunday with highs in the mid to upper 30s. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Mike. We can handle that.
Yes.
All right. Stick around for more news, weather, and traffic right after this break. Now, Good Day Chicago, the search continues for suspects in 2 deadly carjackings as the community remembers one of the victims.
Also, new details in the search for Nancy Guthrie. What investigators are now saying about a glove found near her home.
Legislation that could keep the Bears in Illinois will be the topic of a hearing in Springfield this week. Mike.
We're going to break a record high, but not until we deal with some fog this morning. Much of the area under a dense fog advisory until 9 o'clock. And let's see how that's impacting the roads. Gabrielle, you were saying maybe you're seeing a little bit now.
You know, Mike, I am seeing a couple incidents, too. I'm looking at some of those traffic cameras, especially over in Northwest Indiana and kind of really the way southern portion of Chicagoland. And I am seeing that fog. So please be careful. Plus, there's a couple of crashes that are also in those areas. So one is an accident. It's just on an exit ramp. It's Route 394, the northbound side at I-80 94, so please keep that in mind. And the other one is actually a tanker truck that's in the ditch. It's I-57 on the northbound side at I-80, and the right lane is going to be blocked in that case. Otherwise, your drive times, if you're going into the city, right now they're looking okay. Just over 25 minutes on the Kennedy from O'Hare to downtown, under 25 on the Eisenhower from Route 390 to the old post office. Same on the Stevenson to DuSable Lakeshore Drive, and under 20 minutes still on the Dan Ryan. All right, Chicago police, they're still searching for the men responsible for 2 deadly carjackings last week.
One of the victims was remembered over the weekend as a remarkable young man. Roseanne has more on his life. Roseanne?
Yes, there was a vigil for one of the victims who was killed, gunned down on Waveland near Halstead in Lakeview. Now, with pictures and posters and flowers, friends and loved ones gathered to remember 22-year-old Darwin Tirado. He was killed in a carjacking in the early morning hours of February 11th. He was sitting in a car in the 700 block of West Waveland with another man. Well, 2 men approached them with firearms and demanded the car and other belongings before opening fire. Another 38-year-old was not hurt. That other man in the car with Tirado. Now, Tirado worked for Chicago chef Art Smith, who employed him and his mother. And Chef Smith spoke about the loss at the vigil.
You know, we gather here on this solemn occasion. They want justice. They've lost a member of their family, a member of my family. His mother has been a part of my family for over 20 years, and I'm truly grateful for all the love, and I could not be who I am without them.
Just an hour after Tirado was shot, police say that the men who stole his car are believed to be involved in another deadly carjacking in the Bronzeville neighborhood. We understand that was at 37th and Lake Park. So police very much looking for these 2 carjackers who may have been involved. Well, I'm hearing reports of other carjackings that same evening. I'm not certain if it involved these particular suspects. At Chicago Police Headquarters, Roseanne Tejas, Fox Chicago.
All right, thank you, Roseanne. We'll be looking for that update a little bit later to see if those carjackers can be found.
All right, thank you, Roseanne. 5:35 now. There are new details in the search for Nancy Guthrie. The FBI says a glove with DNA has been found near her home. They're saying it appears to match the one worn by the suspect during seen in her home's doorbell camera. Right now, the FBI is waiting for final test results from the glove. No arrests have been made in the case. Over the weekend, officials say at least 4 people were detained and later released. Savannah Guthrie posted a new video on social media marking 2 weeks since her mother's disappearance.
We still have hope, and we still believe. And I wanted to say to whoever has her or knows where she is that it's never too late. It is never too late to do the right thing.
The FBI has now doubled the reward to $100,000 for information that could lead to an arrest.
The Department of Homeland Security remains shut down this morning. Lawmakers could not get a funding deal done by the holiday weekend, with Republicans largely rejecting Democrats' demands on reforms to ICE. This partial shutdown is expected to impact TSA, the Coast Guard, and FEMA, but not ICE or Customs and Border Patrol, which received billions in funding last year.
Our expectation that we will respond to the unserious offer that Republicans have made that clearly omits things that need to happen including but not limited to our demand that the Fourth Amendment be respected.
We're talking, but, we have to protect law enforcement. ICE has done a phenomenal job. Border Patrol, we have a closed border for the first time in history. We have to protect law enforcement.
The partial shutdown may continue through the State of the Union address on February 24th.
A man is facing charges in connection to a November shooting at a jewel store in Bronzeville. 19-year-old Elijah Theodore is charged with attempted murder. He was arrested in Phoenix last Friday. He's accused of shooting a security officer at the store on East 34th. Police say Theodore was part of two people who tried to steal from the store and were confronted. The security guard and two other people were hit by gunfire.
The teenager who fought for her father's release from ICE detention has now died. 16-year-old Ophelia Torres passed away Friday from an aggressive form of cancer. She took to social media to bring awareness to the suffering of families affected by Operation Midway Blitz. Her father, Ruben Torres Maldonado, was picked up last October at a Home Depot. Ophelia appealed to authorities to release her father, who was the breadwinner and caretaker of their family. His absence meant that her care would be jeopardized. A judge agreed, and he was later reunited with his family. Ophelia was a junior at Lakeview High School and is now an inspiration to those who hear her story.
She somehow found the strength to be able to speak for her dad, who couldn't speak for himself. So I really admire her tenacity, her courage, her selflessness, her ability to put her own physical pain to the side to speak up for her dad.
3 days before Ophelia's death, she witnessed a hearing where her father wanted protection from the threat of deportation, now making it possible to pursue permanent residence.
Well, we could see some movement this week in the Bears' push for a new stadium in Arlington Heights. Legislation that would give the Bears a long-term property tax break is set for a hearing on Thursday in Springfield. A plan to move the Arlington Heights project forward has ramped up since the Bears floated a possible move to Northwest Indiana. Sunday marked 3 years since the Bears closed on the purchase of the former Arlington Park racetrack. Governor Pritzker will deliver his State of the State address on Wednesday. The governor is expected to talk about President Trump's impact, especially in Illinois. He's also expected to talk about the state's budget gap. Pritzker is running for a third term, but is also viewed as a possible contender for 2028.
The Illinois primary is just a little over a month away. And this week, our political reporter, Paris Schutz, will be hosting a series of debates with the candidates competing in some of the biggest races. Today, that will include Democratic candidates for Dick Durbin's open Senate seat. They are Congresswoman Robin Kelly, Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy, and Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton. That debate begins tonight at 6 right here on Fox Chicago.
540. Mike, it sounds like it's going to be another nice day, but we have to get through some of this fog that we're seeing this morning.
Bingo. Yeah. And in some places, the visibility is really, really low. So watch out for that. Happy President's Day. Hopefully you enjoyed the weather for Valentine's Day weekend. Yesterday was absolutely spectacular. I think today we're going to be even warmer. Yesterday's high was 60, matching 2 days in January, which also were 60. Today, the record is 58. I think we'll be at that by noon and blowing past that during the afternoon. There is some fog, which will last longest south of the city, but there can be fog almost anywhere in Chicagoland. The dense fog advisory, I'll show you in just a little bit. Right now, we got 32 at Joliet. You're in the dense fog advisory. 35 at Waukegan. You're not in the dense fog advisory. All of Northwest Indiana, where it's generally mid-30s, you're in that DFA. Here you've got it in gray, dense fog advisory in effect until 9 o'clock. The area is not under this. City and northern Cook County, Lake and McHenry County. Everywhere else in Chicagoland has a dense fog advisory until 9. These are the visibility numbers in miles or fractions thereof. And you're seeing several spots where the visibility is a quarter mile or less, with it looks like Aurora and LaSalle Peru having the worst of the visibility numbers currently. After the fog goes away, there'll be a little bit of high cloud cover out there, but that will actually help us disperse some of the fog. 64 degrees for the high today, a record smasher. Southwest winds at 12 to 22. It won't be as perfectly sunny as yesterday was, but still nice. Tonight, got to watch out for that fog again. 38 degrees for the low, and there won't be much wind around. Tomorrow will not be as warm as today. It'll be a little bit cooler than that 56 far north and near the lake. We get a couple of showers in here tomorrow night into the wee hours of Wednesday morning. And then Wednesday afternoon, temperatures go up, 65. Maybe a shower Thursday with a high of 55 before temperatures tail off. Right now, the weekend looks cooler, but not that cold for this time of year, mid and upper 30s. 5:43 almost. We'll be right back after this.
On Fox.
President Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, says a small security force will remain in Minnesota after the drawdown of immigration enforcement. More than 1,000 agents have already left Minnesota, with hundreds more departing in the coming days. Homan says agents will also keep investigating fraud allegations and the protests that disrupted a church service.
Attorney General Pam Bondi claims all of the Epstein files are now released. This comes nearly 2 months after the legal deadline laid out in the Epstein Files Transparency Act. The files, which Bondi claims are newly released, include several pages of names she says appear in the Epstein records, along with a selection of photos, though questions remain on whether the material is actually new.
With new details on the controversial 2024 death of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny. He died in a Russian prison, but new reports now say that he was poisoned. Russian leaders initially claimed that he got sick and lost consciousness while on a walk. Now, a new statement by European NATO countries concludes that it was a type of frog poison that the Russian government used to murder Navalny. The Kremlin is rejecting the EU accusations as propaganda.
President Trump says his new board of peace will announce $5 billion in pledges to rebuild Gaza. The money would also reportedly commit thousands of personnel to international stabilization and police forces in the war-torn territory. The president did not detail which member nations took the pledges or who would contribute to the stabilization force. Rebuilding the Palestinian territory will be a big task. The United Nations, World Bank, and EU estimate reconstruction will cost $70 billion.
Time now 5:46 this Monday morning. Stick around for more news, weather, and traffic.
But first, the Bears are hosting their 37th annual coat drive, and the last day to donate is going to be today. The Bears, along with Jewel Osco, the Salvation Army, and Sherway Movers, are asking for your coat donations. Just drop them off at participating Jewel Osco. You can find more information online at chicagobears.com/coat drive. We'll be right back. For you. Now, Good Day Chicago, the teenager who fought for her father's release from ICE detention has died. 16-year-old Ophelia Torres passed away Friday from an aggressive form of cancer. She'll be remembered for taking to social media to bring awareness to the suffering of families affected by Operation Midway Blitz.
There are new details in the search for Nancy Guthrie. The FBI says a glove with DNA has been found near her home. They're saying it appears to match the one worn by a suspect seen in her home's doorbell camera. Right now, the FBI is waiting for final test results from that glove.
A man is facing charges in connection to a November shooting at a jewel store in Bronxville. 19-year-old Elijah Theodore is charged with attempted murder. He's accused of shooting a security officer at the store on East 34th. 2 others were hurt by gunfire.
The U.S. Department of Agriculture has issued a large recall on ground beef. The meat may be contaminated with E. coli. The recall affects around 23,000 pounds of ground beef produced by CS Beef Packers. The Food Inspection and Safety Service identified the presence of E. coli during a test. The USDA says that the recall products were intended for food service locations, such as restaurants and cafeterias, and not grocery stores. There are no reported illnesses just yet from the product.
A ship that sunk in Lake Michigan more than 150 years ago has been found. After a search that spanned nearly 60 years, luxury steamer Lac La Belle was found in October 2022. The shipwreck was discovered about 20 miles offshore between Racine and Kenosha, Wisconsin. The announcement of the discovery was delayed because the team wanted to display a three-dimensional video model of the ship. When the luxury steamer sank in October 1872, 53 passengers and crew were on board, and 8 people died after one of the lifeboats from the ship had capsized.
Yeah, and there were definitely some cool shots there that they got underwater there, Mike. We were actually, me and Gabby were talking to each other. We were surprised that you just didn't know the whole history.
I was like, wow, Mike is going to know some kind of crazy stat or detail about the shipwreck.
I've got nothing on that. I'm unfamiliar with that. But I'm with you.
Very rare when that happens.
Those pictures, that was what you say, like at 150 feet deep water? Yeah, so there's still a little bit of sunlight down there, but that was a spectacular find. That beautiful view there of the city, the sun's getting ready to come up. We have the heart still out there, and hopefully you're going to love today's weather, although a lot of you may not love the fog that is blanketing parts of Chicagoland early this morning. That should be going away between 8 and 10 o'clock this morning, but most of the area under a dense fog advisory with some visibilities dropping to less than a quarter mile. Watch out for that. There's also some high cloud cover streaming across the sky. That should move out of here, and we'll see a good deal of afternoon sunshine, and temperatures are going to break a record easily today. This is the extended temperature outlook for a week from tomorrow through March the 2nd, and above normal temperatures favored for almost the entire country, including Chicagoland. That doesn't mean we can't get a day or two where it's going to be a little bit colder. I don't see a whole bunch more 60s on the way, but the warmer than normal trend is locked in. 64 today. The record is 58. It's done. Southwest winds 12 to 22. We'll get rid of this fog here in about 3 hours or so. Tonight, fog may reform. 38 degrees for the low under an otherwise partly cloudy sky. Tomorrow, not as warm as today, but still way above normal. It'll be a little cooler lakeside and far north, 56 for the high. Some rain coming in, scattered showers tomorrow night into the wee hours of morning Wednesday. Look at Wednesday's high, even warmer than today. We've been chatting with Brian. He wants me to go 70 degrees for the high temperature. I would entertain a 67 or 68 at this point. It's going to be really warm. Thursday, 55 with a few showers around. Then temperatures do get cooler. The weekend, seasonably chilly. Highs both days mid to upper 30s. Let's look at 3 very fine photos. Mr. O'Hara out doing his thing. The city put on a lovely fireworks show Saturday night for Valentine's Day. And it just, I forget who it was. Was it Condé Nast maybe? Somebody voted like one of the best cities to see fireworks. Chicago was top of the list. And with that beautiful skyline and the reflections in the lake, no wonder. Good picture, Johnny. Our second photo. It's the Rock River in Oregon, Illinois, not in the state of Oregon. Mike Phillips gives us a look at that. Beautiful glow to the sky there, and looks like all the snow is gone there. This is all south of Rockford area. And finally, we go to Naples, Florida. Now look closely here. My friends, the Sampaneros, we see a lot of pictures from them, and they take some nice pictures. You got the bougainvillea blooming in the foreground, and then a wild and crazy, that's not their car, but that Lamborghini looks like it's painted to be in a floral competition. Some kind of a car rally going on there, but that is a cool shot there. I like the flowers, and I would take that. Is that an Aventador? I hope. All right. Thanks, Tracy, for sending that in. It is now 4 minutes before 6 a.m. We'll be back with more of Good Day after this.
Welcome back. Here's the latest on Good Day Chicago just before 6 a.m. this Monday morning. Warner Brothers Discovery is reportedly reconsidering its sale options after receiving an enticing takeover offer from Paramount Global. Bloomberg reports Paramount raised its all-cash bid and added financial incentives, including covering a $2.8 billion breakup fee tied to Warner's existing deal with Netflix.